Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our third session in this SwiftALM webinar series. My name is Nishant, and I'll be your host for today. Today's session will be presented by Dushyant Sapre. Dushyant, the solutions architect with us at Digité, has been with us for more than 8 years now. And as part of today's session, we'll take you through the STaRT planner, the task planner within SwiftALM. He'll also show you how to configure a few dashboards, and we'll round it up with uh, how we'll show you how to manage engineering docs and PNP plan. Before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, please use the questions box on the right side of your GoToWebinar control panel. We'll try and take questions as and when they come, else we'll do it right at the end of the session. So without further ado, over to you, Dushyant.
Yeah, thank you, Nishant, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third day of the webinar. Today I will be covering Digité STaRT, and there's a slight change in the order in which I will be presenting the topics. So I'll begin with the STaRT module, followed up with dashboards, and the last topic would be on how to manage your project management plans and engineering docs. So, so let's begin. So let me explain and give a brief introduction about STaRT module. So, STaRT is a lightweight task management plan. It is a web-based, which comes as a factory-shipped feature as part of the SwiftALM module, SwiftALM application. We don't need any client-side installation to use the STaRT module, unlike MSP. The STaRT stands for simple task and resource tracking. So let me just walk you through this presentation slowly. So who requires STaRT training? Primarily, the focus is on the project managers and the team leads who would basically prepare the plan for the teams, and they would assign the tasks, estimate the planned effort for each task, and then once the plan is scheduled, it comes into the timesheet of the team members where they can fill the timesheet. Now, what is the purpose of Digité STaRT? Well, it basically helps you in planning for small projects, or I would say smaller sub-projects within the bigger project that you're executing. It's a very simple planning engine. It is not as complex and as difficult to use as MSP. It basically works on fixed dates, task type, unlike MSP where it works on fixed duration, fixed unit, and fixed start. So why is STaRT required? Well, STaRT is not the replacement of MSP, but it basically is a simple planning engine which will help you in planning your smaller sub projects within your project life cycle. So each team leads can manage their own sub projects using this planning engine. Well, of course, there is a choice if someone wants to create a work package using STaRT or MSP. That is purely teams project managers call. But STaRT, if you just want to keep things simple, you want to have a simple planning mechanism where there's not much of complexity involved, STaRT is the right choice. So when is STaRT applied in practice? Well, it is basically taken care or it's used when you're about to plan your project, just before the execution begins. So once you have invited all your team members in the project and when you know what are your deliverables for the project, you can start using the STaRT module and start planning the task for your team members. Well, what is the benefit of the STaRT module? So as I said earlier, that it's a simple, lightweight task management plan. It's all web-based. You don't need any client as such. So whereas if you use Microsoft Project, you need a Microsoft client to be installed and for planning your tasks. So let's just go ahead. So where does STaRT comes into picture? So as you can see, it comes right after the resource planning is completed, and just before the you start the execution of the project. So let's go ahead. So what are the first step in order to use a STaRT module? Now the first and the foremost thing is you need to first create a project. So the choice is whether you want to use a STaRT module or whether you want to use an MSP module. Okay. So what I'll also do is I'll keep switching between the main application and the PPT so that you are right on track and you understand what exactly is going on. So let me go to the application. So I'm logging in as a project manager. And I go to my home workspace and I click on projects. So you can see there are some projects that are already created. Okay, so this is one of my STaRT module project. So when you create a project using STaRT module, you will see the task module shown on the screen would be STaRT, which means your main plan of the project is driven using STaRT module. Now there is also, what it also means is that you can always go ahead and create your work packages using STaRT or MSP. So there is no restriction as such that if your project has been created using STaRT module, your work packages also have to be created using STaRT module. So there is always a choice when you are creating a work package using either STaRT or MSP. And vice versa is the case when you are creating a project using MSP. So let's go to the STaRT module. So the STaRT module comes under the plan menu of the project. If you go to the task menu, so you will see this is the STaRT screen. Now we have certain icons available on the STaRT module, and there is a work area and there is a Gantt view. Okay, so let me come back to the PPT first. So what all things we can do in a Digité STaRT? We can do check-in, check-out. We can assign unassigned resources. We can do baselining. So we have all the 10+1 baseline options available in Digité STaRT, same as Microsoft Project. You can also change your task plan view. Okay. So we'll discuss these finer points in detail when we go to the application. Then we also have task dependency. We can establish links between two tasks or multiple tasks. We can do rescheduling of tasks. We can manage resource assignments. We can have one or many resources assigned to multiple tasks. And then we'll have a look at the Gantt chart. So as we discussed that when you're creating the project, you need to decide whether you want to create the project as a STaRT project or a Microsoft project. So the option is quite evident. You need to select Digité STaRT from the drop down, and once that is selected, you need to create the project. Okay. So this thing we have already covered. So what are the various features? Managing tasks, customizing the plan, checking out the task plan, assigning, unassigning the resources, baselining, viewing Gantt chart, and rescheduling. Just to clear the thought process, in MSP we call check-in, check-out. In STaRT we call it as an edit and save. Okay. What are the various operations possible in a checked out plan? So for example, when I'm trying to add a task in a Digité STaRT, what all the options available for me? So first is you can add a task. You can delete a task. You can close a time entry for a task or multiple tasks. You can open a time entry, which means you can allow a user to enter time against that task in his timesheet. You can batch edit a task, you can batch assign a task. You can assign one or many resources in one single shot to one or many tasks. You can do an indenting and outdenting right there on the screen. You can establish links between the tasks. You can even do a relinking of the tasks. You can check the outline level. What does outline level mean? So it means that what are the various subgroups or sub-categories of the task within the plan. You can toggle between the Gantt chart and the task assignment panel view. There is also an option to see what are my last check-in failures. So whenever I've planned my schedule and I want to check in, and if for some reason the check-in fails, I'll come to know what was the reason behind that. So that option is available in the last check-in failure details. The second and the last is undo checkout. This basically means you don't want to save your plan and you want to go back to your original state. And the final feature available is the save option, where you just add some task and save it. So let's begin with adding a simple task. So right now you can see that my STaRT plan is not checked out. The reason being is I'm getting the option of edit. So when I click on edit, it means I'm trying to check out the plan. So one simple way of adding a task is by clicking on this plus option, and it opens the task details page, and here you can give some name to the task. You can select the summary task here, and you can give the plan start date. So I'll say 1st of April, and plan finish as, let's say, 8th of April. And there's a choice whether I want to make the task as a milestone task or not. And I can also assign a resource along with creating the task, adding the task details. So I will select this resource as the person who is going to work on the task. So as soon as I select the resource and move it on the right hand side, you will see that it automatically picks the plan start date and the plan end date, which I had defined for the task. Okay, and I'll save this. So this is one way of adding a task. Now let me click on the return option. So now you can see that one task is already added in the plan. But this is a very cumbersome process. So every time I have to add a task, I have to click on this plus sign, enter the details, assign the resource, and click on return. The other way of adding a task is by doing a checkout. Okay, so I'll click on this edit option. So once I do an edit, you will get two options, either to save or undo. Save means you want to check in, and undo means you don't want to save the plan and you want to go back to your original plan. Okay. Now how do I add multiple tasks or a single task in this checked out plan? So one way is again to click on this add option, and you will see a row getting added here. Now if I want to add a row after task 1, I need to select task 1 and again click on the plus sign. So you will see that a blank row gets added, and I need to fill the details of that task. So let me just delete first. Okay. So I'll select task 1 once again, and I'll click on plus sign. And here I will add a second task. So let me just hide this Gantt chart. I'll toggle the Gantt chart for ease of entering the data. Now you can see that by default it takes the date as 1st of April and 8th of April because of the previous task that I had added. I can always go back and change it. So I'll make the next plan start date for task 2 as 11th. Okay. So I have to first change this. I'll make this as 12th, and I'll make this as 11th. So now you can see here the second task is starting from 11th and is ending on 12th of April, but there is no planned effort because I have not assigned any resource. So how do I assign a resource to this task? So what I will do is I will click on this option of batch assign, and from here I will select the person whom I want to assign to this task. I will click on assign. Once I click on assign, it will say resource assignment is completed, and I'll press OK. Now you can see here the planned effort has come. Now important point to remember here is that the planned effort is always driven by the resource calendar and not by the project calendar. So what is a resource calendar? So resource calendar is your personal calendar. Whenever user logs in, he can go to his personal workspace and he can check his working hours. So whatever are his working hours, based on that, the system will derive the planned effort. So if he is working 8 hours or 8.5 hours a day, the planned effort will be according to that and multiplied by the duration of the task. Since STaRT is a simple planning engine, we only support fixed dates or fixed duration, which means that I cannot change any other attribute, unlike MSP where we can change the fixed unit or we can change the fixed work component of the task, but here we can only change the dates. So if I want to make this task to end on 13, I have to again go back to the plan finish and I select this. As soon as I change the dates, my planned effort will change. Now once I've added this task, I want to do a check-in. So I'll click on this option of save. Check-in is successful. I go back to the original screen, which is in checked in state, and now you can see this plan is checked in. So let me do a check-in, checkout once again, and let me add multiple tasks. So what I will do is I will just highlight task 2 and right click on it, and I'll say multi-line add. So let's say I want to add only 5 tasks. So I'll just enter 5 here and press enter. So 5 blank rows would be added with some default plan start date and plan finish. And now I can enter tasks one by one. Now if I want to make task 3 as a summary task, what I will do is I will select all the 5 tasks, 4 tasks, task 6 to task 9, and indent. So this is the option of indent. Okay. So this is how I've indented the task. Now what I will do is I will again plan some resources for this task 4. So let me just change the end date of this task to 14th. And for sake of keeping it simple, I'll just delete some of the tasks. So now you can see the summary task has changed to 13th of April. So it takes the minimum start date of all the child tasks and the maximum of planned finish of all the child tasks. And I'll say save. So my check-in is successful. Okay. Now I want to delete some tasks in bulk. So I'll do I can do very well without even checking out. So I'll just select task 4 and task 5 and select this option of delete. So once I delete all the child tasks, my task 3 becomes a normal task. It's no longer a summary task. So let me do a checkout. I'll add a task. I'll do an indent and I'll assign a resource. So another way of assigning a resource is you go to the resource column of the plan and highlight the cell where you want to assign the resource and close it. So the resource has been assigned now. I'll save this and it checks in. So edit is equivalent to checkout and save is equivalent to check-in. So any questions so far? Okay. Now that we have added 3-4 tasks in the plan, let's look at the option of baselining. So if you go to the toolbar, you will see an icon called as Manage Baseline. Okay. So let me click on that. So what does it gives to me? So it gives me 11 options, either to store the plan in the current baseline, or I can store the plan in baseline 1 to baseline 10. Now, unlike MSP, where you have the option of doing a selective baseline, we don't support selective baselining. Once you have added a new task in a plan, you have to, if you want to baseline, the system will baseline the entire plan. Okay. Yeah. So what are the questions? I get one response from Visi. We'll wait for the questions. Okay. So the question is, can we change the planned effort of the project? Yes. So so one way is you go to the schedule and you add more resources, and based on that your planned effort will change. Okay. If you want to add more tasks, you can add more tasks. But if a resource has already logged effort against a task, you cannot remove that resource because that effort has already been logged into the project. So so best way to do is that you add resources as and when they come into the project, and then you increase the planned effort of the task. How to? Okay. So I've got a second question. How to check the activities of the task on which team is working on current date? Any filter or something? Okay. So let me just close the screen. I'll come back to this, and let me go to the report section. I think the report is not available. I'll get back to you on this question. So one way to look on which task the team is working is you can go to the task plan. And just do a right scroll to the right, and you can see resources which are available here who are working on the task. Okay. The third question is how to edit the planned date of the project. See, typically the planned date of the project is when you create the project. Now let's say you are planning your task in such a way that your end dates of the task are going beyond the planned end date of the project. So once you do a check-in, the planned end date of the project will automatically shift. Okay. I'm getting another question which says we want to see the list of activities as well as resources for which they will be submitting timesheet. You are saying they would be submitting timesheet or they have submitted the timesheet? For current date. Okay, I'll get back to you on these questions. I don't have an answer for this question at the moment. I don't think so. We have a report which says for the current date what all tasks are available for the resources and for which they will enter the time. We have some timesheet reports which will give you overview or the report which says that against which task on between which period the resources have entered the time. But I'll check and I'll get back to you whether we have a report available out of the box for this particular scenario. Any other question? Please go ahead. Is there a question coming? Well, if you don't link the task, the dates of the independent task will not get changed. But if you have a so the question is that is there any other way the dates of other tasks don't get affected by the changes the date of any other task? To answer that, if you have not established a dependencies between two tasks, then your independent task will not get affected. So in Digité STaRT, we have only one type of dependency which is called as finish to start, and we only support lag. We don't support lead time. We only support lag, which can be both positive as well as negative. So if there is a dependency between two tasks, then of course if the parent task or the predecessor task, if there is a predecessor task which is getting affected, then of course the successor task is going to get affected. But if there are independent tasks which are not dependent on any other task, they will not get affected. Well, it is so. The next set of question is how to create independent tasks. As I said, so let me just check out the plan once again. So I have added task 4. Okay. We have a column called as predecessor. So task 4 is not dependent on task 2 or task 1. Hence, it is an independent task. So it is not going to get affected even if the actual end date of task 1 or task 2 is beyond their planned finish date. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the STaRT module. So we were discussing about baselining. So let me undo the plan first. So we have this option of managing the baselines. So I'll click on this icon. So you can see there we have 11 options. So first option is we can save the plan in the current baseline, or we can copy the plan in baseline 1 to baseline 10. Okay. The only limitation in using STaRT is that we don't have a selective baselining feature. So what does selective baselining means is that if you have added, let's say, 2 tasks in the plan and you have baselined them, and let's say after entering the time, the actual end dates have changed. Okay. Now, when I add a third task again, and I want to baseline it, so what will happen is my previous 2 tasks will also get re-baselined instead of only task 3 that I've added. So this feature is supported very well in MSP, but it is not there in STaRT module. So what are the options available? Okay, we have a question coming. Yeah, so question is how many baselines we can manage with STaRT? Well, as you can see, we have 11 baseline, but the current one is used everywhere across the reports and dashboards. So if you are baselining your plan, it is always advisable to baseline in the current baseline option. Whereas all the other options are just a backup. I mean, it's like you have baselined your plan in current baseline, and you want to also keep a copy of what you have baselined in the current, so that you can always refer to it later. So we have 11 options, same as Microsoft project. Any other set of questions? Please go ahead. Well, it doesn't mean you have 10 baselines. See, baseline 1 and 10 is all copy. It's a backup. So let's say if you're using Microsoft project, okay, you added 2 tasks in the plan in the first instance, and the plan start date of each task is, let's say, from 1st of April to 5th of April and 6th of April to 10th of April. And when you do a baseline, you say I want to baseline it in the current baseline option. Okay. And again, if you want to baseline to some other option, let's say I want to baseline it in baseline 1, you can again do that. So now if you refer baseline 1 and current baseline, you will see both values are matching. You can always use the same option again and again to baseline. So baseline current, baseline 1 to baseline 10 are all options available where you can copy your plan. It doesn't mean that you have 100 options available. In the same option, you can always copy your plan. And the same options are available even in Microsoft projects. You have current baseline as well as baseline 1 to baseline 10. But you can always override your plan to the baselines that are available. Okay. Let's go ahead. So moving on to the next part of the Digité STaRT. So what are the other options available at the toolbar? So first option is adding a task that we have already covered. Then we can delete the task. The other option is closing the time entry. So if I want to stop the time entry against a particular task, I can select that task and click on this option. And the time entry for this task will be closed. So now if you see here, this task has been marked as closed. So the team member or the resource who has been assigned to this task cannot enter time in his timesheet. But if you again want to reopen the task for time entry, you just select the task and click on open time entry, and the status of the task becomes open. Okay. So let me just check out the plan once again. Now we have the option of batch edit and batch assign. So what I can do is I will select task 1 and task 2 and I'll do a batch edit. So what I will do is I will say and the task name change for both the tasks. Similarly, if I want to change the planned start date and planned finish in one single shot, I can do that. If I want to assign resources, one or many, I can select from here. And if I want to establish a predecessor relationship or dependency between two tasks, I can do so from here. So let me just save it first. And I've done a checkout once again. So what I will do is I will make task 4 as a successor task of task 1 for requirement, which is your TSK4. So I'll select task 4. I'll go to the predecessor column. I'll say, so what you have to give here is the code of the task. So we can see here the code of the task is TSK4. So I will say 4FS. You don't have to specify TSK. You say just 4FS, which is your finish to start dependency. And you can say +2 or -2, which means that it's a lag. So what does +2 means? It means that your task 4 can start 2 days before, your TSK 8 can start 2 days before TSK 4. Okay. Now I have established the dependency. If I want to delink, I have the option of delinking it. Similarly, if I want to link a task, I can link it. So I'll say if I want to link, I have to select 2 tasks here. So in the order which I have selected, it will establish the link. So let me delink this. I have selected task 1 for requirement and task 4 for, in the screen. And again I will say link. So my task, TSK4 task is dependent on TSK8. So let me just rename these tasks to avoid confusion. Save it. Okay. Okay, coming to the next icon in the toolbar, we have something called as outline level. We have a question coming. Let me just okay, so the first question is, what is the impact of closed entry on planning? Well, once a task has been closed, you cannot change the planned end dates or the actual start or actual end date of the task because it is no longer editable from the timesheet or from the system or from the plan. So closed entry typically means you don't want to allow resources to enter time against those tasks. Okay. Okay, so the next question is how to select 2 or more tasks. Well, okay, so let me show that on the screen. I'll just check out. So let me add a couple of more tasks. So now I've added 2 more tasks, task 5 and task 6. So if I want to select multiple tasks in one single shot, I have to press Control on my keyboard and do a left click. Again, keep the Control button selected. Again, click task 5 and similarly task 6. So you can see I have selected 3 tasks in one single shot. Now if I want to do a batch assign, I'll click on this option. I'll select first resource here and I'll click on assign. You can see in the background the resources have been assigned to that particular task. Similarly, if you want to remove the resources, you select task 4, task 5 and task 6 and again click on batch assign and I'll say remove. So the resources would be removed from those tasks unless they have entered time. Okay. So let me do a check-in once again. Okay. So we have an option of outlining. So what does outlining do? It basically tells you how your WBS has been structured. So we have in this case you can see that we have only 2 levels, outline level 0 and outline level 1. So let me select outline level 1. So what it will do is it will give you the structure in this way. If I want to further see outline level 0, I'll select outline level 0, which will basically collapse everything. Now if I want to see all the tasks, I'll just click on all tasks. So as the number of structure, as the structure increases, which means that you have more and more summary tasks within a summary task, your outline level increases. So for example, let's say I want to make task 6 as a child task of task 5. So let me do a checkout. So I'll indent task 6, save it. So now you can see here we have outline level 2, which means if I select outline level 2, my task 6 will get collapsed under task 5. So this way you can basically collapse and expand your WBS structure to see what are the different tasks and what are the summary and how your plan has been structured. Okay, going on to the next icon, we have an option to toggle the Gantt chart. So if you click on this, your Gantt chart will be available here. So you can always drag your screen, drag this vertical bar to see a full view of the Gantt chart. So right now you can see the Gantt chart has been shown in a monthly view. If you want to see a quarterly view or a yearly view, you do a right click on the screen and you can select quarterly view. If I want to see a yearly view, I can again do a right click and see yearly view. If I want to remove these grid lines, again do a right click and click on toggle grid lines. And if I want to see today's tasks, I click on show today. So it will take me to those tasks which are currently available on the screen for the current date. So let me enable the grid lines and I'll change the view to monthly view. Okay. So interesting thing is here that you can also link tasks from the Gantt chart. Now just before we do that, you can see here the summary tasks are represented in black lines, whereas your child tasks are represented in this blue horizontal lines. And you can also see that against which task what resources have been assigned and what are the percentage unit for those resources. So in one of the cases, your resource 1 has been assigned 100%. So all those information is available right there on your Gantt view. So you don't have to click on a task. For example, if I click on this task, I have to go to the resources tab to check the percentage unit, assigned effort, plan start date, plan end date. All those things have to do for each task one by one. So the best way to do is you go to the Gantt chart and you can see the tasks, and you can see what are the plan start date, plan finish date, which resources have been assigned to that task, and what are the percentage unit. So we have a question coming. Okay. So the question is, can we delete a task even if actuals are logged in it? No, system will not allow you to delete the task. So that integrity check is there. It will not allow you to delete the task. Okay, so let's move to the next topic. So now if I want to link, let's say, task 10 to task 1. So let me just do a horizontal scroll on the left hand side. I can just, from the edge of the task 1, I can just point it to task 10. I think it's not working. I'm not able to establish the dependencies between two tasks from the Gantt chart. So I'll get a check on that, why is it not working. But yes, you can, from the Gantt chart itself, you can establish dependencies between two tasks. So let me just toggle the Gantt chart. So we have another option called as assignment parallel. So once I click that, a small window will appear at the bottom of the screen. Now if I want to see against which task, which resources have been assigned, with all the details as plan start date, plan finish, planned effort, when did they start logging in, what is their actual effort, what is the percentage completion, you can just highlight the task and you will get those details. So you can see it for task 2, a couple of resources have been assigned, and with what are the planned effort, what is the actual start, actual finish. So in this case, the resource is not entered any time against the timesheet and against those tasks, and hence those details are not coming here. Okay, questions coming? The question was how we get the status of project in terms of percentage completion. Okay, so let me go back to the timesheet report under monitor. No, sorry. So we have a project progress report which will give you the percentage completion. So in this case you can see here all my tasks under the main project WBS is listed, and it will give me the percentage work completion. So if I start entering the time against those tasks, you will start seeing the numbers against those tasks, as well as it will get rolled up at each summary level up to the main project WBS. So the name of the report is Project Progress Report. So you can even also see the planned start dates, baseline dates, and the actuals. Okay, so let's come back to the main screen of STaRT. So we have covered the task assignment plan. So let me toggle it once again. We have covered manage baseline. There are 3 more options here. You can always print your task plan in a CSV format or a RTF format. Now how do I get the CSV format here? I'll say list view and I'll select CSV, and it will get exported in the CSV format. So important point to remember here is that even if you make changes in the exported Excel, you cannot import it back. It's a report, it just gets exported. You cannot import it back. Okay, we have a question coming. Okay, the question is for support and maintenance projects or ongoing projects, how can we see the project progress? It depends on how you are tracking your works. How are you tracking your work? So one way is you are tracking it through your task plan. So as I showed you that there is a project progress report, and if the resources are entering time against those tasks regularly with discipline, you will start seeing the progress there and there itself. So if you're using task module, whether it is a Digité STaRT or a MSP, it doesn't matter. If the team is entering the time on a regular basis, you will get that progress in the system. So project progress report is an out-of-the-box report. There is no custom report available as such that if you want to track with some other mechanism or using some other work item, there is no custom report available. Okay. So the next icon on the screen is convert from STaRT to MSP. Well, this option should be used very judiciously, because once you convert a STaRT module to MSP or vice versa, you cannot revert it back. So once you have converted to MSP, the only option for you to do the planning is through Microsoft project. There is no other option you can revert it back. The last option here is last check-in details. So if you remember, I spoke about that whenever your check-in fails, you'll get to know the details on this screen. So if you click on this icon, you will come to know the status, the time, who was trying to check in, and what was the end result of that. Was there some error or not? So in this case, you can see here, my check-in was successful. That's why it is showing the status as success, and it was checked in by the project manager of the project. Okay, another question that is coming. Well, as I said, so the question is, if by mistake we convert the task module, how can we revert it back? Well, there is no other option. Once you have converted, you cannot revert it back. It's a one-time conversion, so that's why it has to be done very judiciously. Okay. See, the other options available are very straightforward. For example, if I want to reposition some columns, I can always just drag the columns in the beginning, and I can position those columns. Similarly, if I want to change the view of the column of my table, I can just go here and click on edit, and I can put more columns to the right hand side. So I can, let's say, put baseline start, baseline finish, and baseline effort, and save it. So those many columns will get added in the table or in this particular screen. Okay, I have another question coming. So the question is how to make the copy of the project along with the data. So if I understand this question correctly, you want to what you are saying is that you want to export the project with the data. Okay, I think there is an option available. Let me check if that is enabled for my. Yeah, so there's an option called as export in the project profile. Here you can say please select the export type from the option selected. So if you say skeleton, it will only copy the blueprint of your project, which are fields and the forms. But if you say full and press OK, you get the option to choose the work items which you want to export with the data selected. For example, if I want to export defect and you want to say include data for all selected items, you can export it with the comments, attachments, activity log. If any other options are applicable, and say create. Okay. Okay. The next question is, so continuing the last question, it says, how do we make the copy of the project along with the data with planned and actual data? Well, everything that you select on that screen is your data. So everything, whether it is task or defect, everything that you select will get copied. The next option is, the next question is, it will also export the configuration like planning in STaRT. So the next question that is coming is, in the STaRT module, if we use more number of tasks in the work packages, are we facing any performance related issues? Well, as I said, STaRT is a very simple planning engine. If you try to match it with MSP, of course you will have some performance issues in terms of number of tasks this can support. So at best, every plan, every work package should have not more than 1500 tasks. That's the best we have measured so far. Beyond that, I think you should use Microsoft Project. Okay, so the next question that is coming is, change the task module while exporting. No, there is nothing called as changing the task module while exporting. It is the plan that is available and you just export it. It's like a dump you are taking from your project. The conversion of task module is required when you know that if your task plan is going to increase and you're using STaRT and you're no longer able to manage it using the STaRT module, you want to convert it to an MSP, you can convert that. And once you have converted, you can always check out your plan, and from the Microsoft project itself, you can I am not able to understand what do you mean by export the configuration of project. So whatever data, whatever fields that are visible or are part of your eForms will get exported with the data. So one question that has come is, at max how many tasks we could use in STaRT module? See, maximum we have tested is 1500 tasks. So if you're using a work pack, if you don't want to use the main task module, the other option is you use work packages, and you can break down your work into sub projects. Instead of managing it in a single project, you can use multiple work packages with STaRT, and there you can have, every work package can have max 1500 tasks at best. Okay. So I would like to end the STaRT module because we are running short of time. We have two topics to cover. The next topic that I would be covering is dashboards. So let me just log out. Okay. So let me just have a brief intro on the dashboards. So we have basically dashboards at three levels. First is at the organizational level. The second is at the project level. Both project and a program, both combined together. So program is again a project. So I will just use the word project here at the moment. And the third level is your user level or personal level. So at three levels you can configure your dashboards. Okay. So what dashboard does is basically it takes all your data from the project and it rolls up at the, so basically it takes the data from your work items, whether it's a defect or an action item or a task, or any entity that is available in the project, and it rolls up that data and combines and shows you a graphical representation of your data at a project level. If it is an organization level dashboard, it will combine from multiple projects and show you at org level. And similarly, at a personal level, it will combine from multiple projects and show you at a personal level. Okay. So so let me just so what all things you can do, so what all the features available, so we have different chart types which are available. So let me go to the next slide. So first thing that we can do, or what we can do in dashboard configuration, is we have to first create pages. So I'll show all those steps in the system. We have to first create page, then we have to add widgets applicable for that project or organizational level dashboard, whichever is the context. Then you configure the dashboard widgets. We have various settings available, and then we see a generated data using those settings that we have selected. Okay. So what are the options available in widgets? So whenever we are plotting some widget in a dashboard page, we can define the widget size. We can select what chart we need. Then we can select the project filter settings. Now project filter setting is available only for org level dashboards and personal level dashboards, because it rolls up the data from the projects. So you don't need a project filter at a project level dashboard. Similarly, we have goal settings where you can select goals, the USL, LSL, and the target. Then we have data setting where we can do a group by at a project level or a work package level or a phase level. Then we have a roll-up method, whether you want to do mean, standard deviation, sum, min, max, etc. Then we can do a roll-up and drill down. Basically, but you want to see the current value or you want to do a trending. So again, we have two options in trending. One is your static trending and the other one is your dynamic trending. Then again, you have the hierarchy type, which is filter hierarchy and a define hierarchy. Again, these two options are available at an org level dashboard or a personal level dashboard. So that is not available at a project level dashboards. And the other option, not the least option, it's the layout option. You can say I just want to see the chart on a dashboard widget, or I want to see only the table, or I want to see both chart or a table, and vice versa. So let me go to the application now, and we'll be completely on the application for this particular topic. So another question that is coming is, the question is, can the customized matrix data populated in personal dashboard? What do you mean by customized matrix? You mean to say you're not using the standard matrix available in the system, but you have created your own custom matrix? Okay. Well, for that you may have to do the customization. So even for writing the formula of the custom matrix, you have to go through a customization process. And once we have done that, it would behave like any other standard metric. So for example, we have a standard metric called as defect removal efficiency. So if there is a custom metric that you want to configure something similar to defect removal efficiency, you can, for that would require customization, and then it would behave similar to defect removal efficiency. But yes, we can do that, but it would require customization. Okay. So let me log into the system. Is there a question coming? Okay. So let me get into the application. So I'll log in as a project manager. So I'll first start with the project dashboards. So we'll not get into the details of the formulas, how it is being calculated. I will show you how you configure a dashboard page, how you configure widgets, what are the different settings available inside those widgets, and how these basically, and every dashboard widget will have a different kind of settings based on its application and implication. So let me go to a project. So dashboard menu will be available under the monitor screen or the monitor menu. So you can see here that there are a couple of widgets on the project progress page. So what you see on the top are nothing but pages. So what I have done here is I've created 8 pages. One is called as project progress, then we have variance analytics, then we have EV analytics, and so on and so forth. So these are all pages. Okay, and if I want to add a new page, I can click on this option of new page. Once I do that, an empty page would be created, and then I have the option of adding widgets to it. So if I click on this option, I'll get the options of selecting the widgets from the right side of the pane. So I can do a drag and drop here, and that widget will get added here. So before I go into the configuration of widgets, let's just go through the options available here on a particular page. So once I've added a page, I have the option of giving a title to the page. So I'll say page name is dummy dashboard. I can give a description to it. I can choose the column layout. I can say single column layout, 2 column layout, or 3 column layout, which means that if I select single column, I can have all the widgets only in 1 column. If I select 2 column layout, I can have widgets only in 2 columns. And then I can select the theme for that particular page. So we have 6 colors that are available. So let me just select this option, and I'll select 2 column layout and save it. So I have basically now configured my page. Now what I will do is I will go ahead and add some widgets. So let's say I will add defect removal efficiency here. Okay, so I have added this widget, and I also have an option to add another widget. Since it is a 2 column layout, I can always drag and drop another widget. So let's say I will add a defect leakage. Okay, so let's go one by one in each widget, and what are the options available on the widget. So the first option is to minimize the widget, and if you want to restore it, you click on the restore option. Then you have the option of maximizing the widget, which means you want to see a full view of that particular widget. So if I click on this, it opens in a carousel view mode, which means on the page, if I have multiple widgets available, I can always switch from one widget to the another widget in a full view mode. And you can just click on this circle at the bottom, and it will take you to the next widget that is after the selected one. So this is a carousel view. If I want to restore to the original screen, I need to click on this restore option. So the next option available on a dashboard widget is help. So if you click on help, it will give you a contextual help with the definition of that metric or that particular widget component and how it can be used and what are the different options available. So this help is available in all the widgets for all the out of the box widgets that are present in the application. So let me just do some settings on this particular widget. So I click on the settings option, and I can change the title of the widget. Let's say I'll say DRE current, which means I want to see the current defect removal efficiency for my project. I can select the various chart types, line, bar, horizontal, vertical stack, horizontal stack, etc. X chart, MR chart. So I'll select, let's say, bar chart. Right now I'm not putting the label here because I want to first see what are the value coming and how it is being displayed. I would definitely want to see some number in the chart. So I will enable this option of data label. Then we have the option of painting the goals. So what does this option means? It means that for a given metric, if I have defined some LSL, USL at an organizational level, I can verify my actuals against those goals that I have defined at an org level. Similarly, if I have defined some USL target and LSL at a PT level, I can do so by selecting this option. And similarly, if I have defined some goals or the LSL, USL target at a project level, I can select this option. So whatever my actuals are, I can always compare those actuals with my organizational goals or PT level goals or project level goals. So in this case, I will just select org level goal, but I'm not going to paint those goals because I have not defined them at the org level. So for this particular metric, the only option available is either I can group it at a project level or I can define it at a work package level. So I'll say project level. And I'll say current, which means I want to see the current value of defect removal efficiency. And I'll say save. So you can see here my value for DRE, which is my current value, is 85.71. Now I want to put some labels here. So I'll say x-axis, I'll just leave it blank. Y-axis, I will say percentage. So you can see my label has come here. Now before I paint the indicator whether my defect removal efficiency is above expectation or below expectation or matching the expectation, I want to show you one screen where I can define the project level LSL, USL and target. So that option is available under the setup menu, process menu, under matrix and goals. Okay. So what I have done is for this project I have added, I'm saying these are the 8 important metrics for me. And based on that, I will say that what is my project health index. So I'll select this metric goal sheet option. You can see here I have added these 7 or 8 metrics which are required for my project. Okay. And you can see here for defect removal efficiency, the organizational USL target and LSL is already defined with the weightage. But at the project level, I have said that my USL is 95%, my target is 85%, and my LSL is 80%, and the weightage is 1. And you can see the actual is 85.71. So it is above expectation. So it is showing, the indicator is showing as green. Now I want to see this same indicator on my dashboard widget. So once I have defined my USL target, LSL for all my metrics which are required, I'll just save this option. I'll go back to my dashboard page. I'll go to dummy dashboard page. I'll select the settings. So this time I will say I want to compare my actuals against the project level USL target and LSL. So I'll select this option. I'll say paint my goals. I'll select these 3 check boxes. I'll say show indicator and I'll say save. So you can see the indicator lines are there, which are nothing but your LSL, USL and goal lines, and your the actual value is above the target, which is your 85%. And at the bottom of the widget, you can see the table where the indicator is shown as green. Okay, so this is how you can plot your dashboard, compare it with PT, project or org level goals, and get to know the results there itself. Similarly, if I want to go to defect leakage, so I'll just go to another widget here. I'll say I want to group it by project. So if you can see here, for this widget, the group by options have changed. So now we have release also as well as phase also. But for defect removal efficiency, we had only work package and project. So as the widget changes, your group by option may change. So it is not always the same value. So I'll say project. This time I'll select again project level paint goals and show indicator. So now you can see here that my value for defect leakage is well below my goal. So you can always mouse over. So your goal target was 5 and my defect leakage is 14.29, but defect leakage is a negative metric, that's why it is showing it as red. Whereas defect removal efficiency is a positive metric and it is above your goal, that's why it is showing as green. Okay. So what are the other options available? So we'll keep going through the settings available, but let's just come back to the widget and see what are the other options available on that particular widget. So we have the option of changing the layout. So if I click on this option, I get the option of only seeing the chart or table or both chart and a table or a table and a chart. So there are 6 options available. So if I select the option, sorry, it was too fast. If I select this option, my chart will be on the left hand side, whereas my table is on the right hand side. So this all can be done on the fly. We also have the option of inverting the axis. Now this is not a right example to show the invert axis. So let me go to some other metric. So let me go to a page called as other item status, which I've just configured for demo. So now you can see here. So this is a typical item status report which will give me a breakup of my defects or tickets based on the complexity and priority. Okay. So now my complexity is high, medium, low, and my priority is my complexity is critical, high, medium, low, and my priority is high, medium, low. So if I want to see this table where my priority is my column and my complexity is my rows, I will just go and change this axis. So I'll say invert axis. So this is how you invert the axis on the fly. Okay. If I want to refresh the data, I will just click on this refresh. So it will always, so let's say somebody adds some tickets in the project and you want to see a refresh data, you just click on this refresh option. So let me go to the settings page of this particular widget and I'll say show data label. So what it will do, it will show the data label for each bar with the count. So it's a simple item status report. We have a question coming, just a second. So the question is, in few of the matrix, for example, defect leakage, I can group it phase wise. What actually phase wise defect leakage will show? It will show you for each phase what are my defect leakage. So like for example, I said group by project, it was showing me defect leakage at an overall project level. When I say group by phase, it will show me defect leakage for that particular phase. So on the defect e-form, we have a field called as phase detected and phase injected. So based on that, it will give me the value for defect leakage. So let me just recall the formula for defect leakage. I think it is based on customer reported defects. Yes. So there is a field called as defect type in the defect e-form. So when I mark the defect as customer reported defect and in which phase it was detected, it will give me the defect leakage. So of course, so for example, I have 100 defects in the system. Okay, and out of those, let's say the customer identified 20 defects, and they identified it, let's say in the UAT testing phase or system testing phase. So when I say group by phase, I'll get to know the defect leakage for those phases. So let's do one thing. Let's go to each page one by one just to have a look what different kinds of charts are available, and without going into the setting part. So let me just start with the project progress. So what I am going to show is all out of the box widgets which are available. So this is the project health index widget, which basically tells you what is the health of your project. Now, if you remember, in the process matrix and goals, I had added some matrix. For example, CSTaRT index, cost performance index cost, defect leakage, defect removal efficiency, earning performance index, effort deviation, current baseline, and schedule variance. These are all your matrix that will contribute towards project health index. So project health index basically takes the actual value of that matrix and the weightage, and then it computes the final value. And for project health index also, we need to define what is the LSL, USL, and target. Since it's an index, it should be ideally in the range of 0 to 1. So you can see here, my project actuals are 0.64, and my project USL, target, and LSL is 0.8, 0.7, 0.01. So now you can see that my project health index actual value is below my target, but it is of course above the LSL. So hence it is in amber or yellow. So if I want to see the same option or same information on a dashboard, I'll go to the dashboard page called as project progress, and you will see my project health index, which is 0.64, along with the indicator. And I also plotted the goals and the target and the LSL line. So the matrix which are contributing to this particular project health index matrix is all your matrix that I added in the matrix and goal sheet. Okay, I have another question. Yes, so if ideally the customer reported defects are captured in your UAT phases, or maybe at a system phase. Okay. So in requirement phase, your defect leakage would be 0. See, it is up to the user how he is entering the data. Now, if I am a tester, and if I select customer reported defect in the defect type, and I select the phase injected or phase detected requirement phase, I'm going to get the defect leakage at that particular phase. So it also depends on how the user is entering the data. Okay. So I'll go to the next widget, which we call as that project effort tracker. So here you can see I'm able to see my effort related component with respect to your main MPP as well as your work packages. So this is another widget. It is not a matrix. It's just a widget which will tell you the breakup at a work package level, baseline effort, planned effort, actual effort, or remaining effort. How much is the breakup for each entity? So let me just go to the setting of this particular widget. So here the only option available is group by activity, which is nothing but your activity code or your standard codes. I can group by work packages. I can group by project, release, phase, or practice. So every task that you create will be associated to a phase or a practice. If you tag a task to a release, then you will get a release-wise breakup. And of course, a task is always part of your work package. So you need not have to tag it to work package. When you create a task, either it will be added in a main task or your main MPP, or it will get added in a work package. So if your data entry is correct, if you are tagging it to the right data points, you will get the breakup, or you will get the values at a right level. So these are the options available for this widget. Also, if you select a work package, you get the option of filtering it out. So I want to only see main MPP work package and let's say iteration 1 work package data, and I'll say save. So you get to see only 2 rows because I've already filtered that information at the setting level. So let me just go back and reset that setting. I'll say save it. So right now you can see that it shows me some 7-8 rows. If I want to further filter in the table itself, then option available here is by clicking on this particular drop down, and I can say I want to only see for main MPP iteration 2 and iteration 81, and I'll click on apply. So you'll get the data and even the chart will get refreshed. Okay, so let me just reapply. Okay, now I don't want to see the remaining effort. For my project, remaining effort is not making sense. So what I will do is I'll go to the settings again, and there I have the option of display analytics. So if you remember, this option was not available in defect leakage or it was not available in the project health index. So I'll just click on this option. I'll say I don't want to see the remaining effort there. I'll say save. So I'll get to see only 3 columns. So there are various combinations, various options available for each widget. So let me go to another page. So we have effort deviation for and schedule deviation for current baseline, initial baseline. You can see the schedule deviation phase wise also. You can see the effort variance phase wise also. You can have a bar chart. You can have a line graph. Then we have widgets for earned value analysis. You can see the cost variance, schedule variance, VAC. We can see the baseline at cost. So all those widgets are available for even earned value analysis. Let me go to the defect analytics. So here I have plotted a couple of metrics, and then I've also plotted some item status report for defect e-form. So this is a typical item status report. I'll go on the setting in one of the section. So here in the item level I have selected I want to see the data for defect e-form. So I have selected my item as defect. If there is a filter that I want to apply, I can always create an advanced filter and apply on this particular widget. And then I can choose the fields or the columns which I want to see in the dashboard widget. So I can say priority, and I want to see by priority and item name. So basically the data will first show up at a priority level, and then I can drill at an item name level. And then I have said that I want to see based on time. So I have added a comment called as, or a category called as time series. Well, time series is not a field on the defect e-form, but as part of the item status report, time series is one of the categories. So when I click on the time series, it gives me the option whether I want to see my data consolidated by year, month, week, or day, and whether I want to see whether it was it closed in that period or it was identified in that period. And then if I want to see a cumulative count, so that checkbox is also available. And if I say dynamic, so based on the time unit that I've selected, if I say last 6 months or current month, all those I need to put those numbers here. But if I want to see a static value, which means for a given date range, I have to specify those dates in these text boxes, and then based on that it will give me a time series data. So let me just cancel this. So my dashboard is showing me that for the month of November I had 6 defects or 6 issues. I can always drill down on the critical one. Let's say I click on this one, and it will give me which defect is that. So I can always go to the defect and see the details of that defect. So you can drill from the dashboard itself and you can get the details of that particular work item. Then we have the options of, another chart type is your pie chart. This again is a simple item status report, but here only we have one column, so that's why we were able to plot it as a pie chart. Then we go to quality analytics. So we have something called as appraisal cost, rework cost, cost of quality, and we have prevention cost also. We have testing efficiency, review efficiency. So all these matrix are available. Now in certain cases, in certain organizations, we want to say what all activity codes are applicable for appraisal cost, or what standard code is applicable for cost of quality, and so on and so forth. So the option that is there to identify that these standard codes are applicable for appraisal cost or cost of quality has to be determined at the administration level. So let me just open another browser. Okay, I have a question in the meantime. The question is, how can we see the dashboard for particular group in the organization? Can you be more specific in the terms of group? Are you saying we have a group called as PMO and they want to see the dashboard for their line of sight? Okay, in the meantime, let me just log in first. So for matrix such as appraisal cost or cost of quality, I want to say that these are my activity codes which would basically help me get those values. So under administration, when you go to the matrix definition, we have an option called as matrix activity association. So here I can select the matrix as appraisal cost, and from the available list of activities, I can see which all activities will get accounted for calculating the appraisal cost. Similarly, if I want to see cost of quality, I have added these 10-15 activity codes which will give me the value for cost of quality. Once I have done, and this again by the way is don't change on a day-to-day basis, but once it has been done at an administration level, the values will start coming based on this combination or this list that I have added at the administration level. So that's how I get the cost of quality. Yeah, so coming to the question. Yeah, so let me go to the organizational level dashboard, and then I'll take that question. So I'm done with the project level. Since we are running short of time, let me quickly cover the organization dashboard, both as a administrator as well as a PMO. Now administrator has full access across the organization to all the projects, so he can see all the data basically, though it is not useful for him, but I'll just try to differentiate how a PMO looks the data and how administrator looks at data. Now before I get into that part, let me just show you one place in the project where I need to first define project is working under which organization or which sub-organization. So yesterday, and I think in the first webinar, Shahab and Rajesh covered the concept of O2O hierarchy, O2P hierarchy, relationship types. Similarly, for seeing the dashboards at an org level, under your line of sight, you need to first ensure that your projects are properly tagged to those relationship types. So I'm coming to the project profile page, and we have an option called as organization relationship under the project profile. So here I have to define whether based on the location, So I've said that this particular project is executed under Australia sub-organization, and or Australia is a virtual organization that I have created under the O2O hierarchy called as location based, and my O2P hierarchy is location based 1. Similarly, if I want to tag it based on a particular unit, I have said that this particular project is tagged to MFG APAC under unit based O2O hierarchy, and the relationship type is location based 2. So based on that, I have said that the projects are either tagged to location based O2O hierarchy or unit based O2O hierarchy. And everywhere I have selected, let's say O2P as location based 1 and location based 2. Okay. So based on that, what I've also done is I've created some project filters. So let me just log in as a admin. So I'll show you how I've created the project filter. So what I've done is I've created 2 project filters. One is based on your location and the another one is based on your unit. So I'll go to the location based filter first. So project filters are created under personal workspace under setup menu. Now in this, under the select organization and relationship type submenu or segment, I have said I want to see the data, or I want to see the projects based on location, where my O2P hierarchy is location based 1. Which means if the projects are tagged to location based 1 and the O2O relationship is location based, then only my data will come up. Similarly, if I go to unit based project filter, I have said my O2O hierarchy will be unit based and my O2P relationship type would be location based 2. Once I have done this setting, I'll also go to resource management. Now in this case, what I have done as an example, I have selected SLAM admin and SLAM PMO. So let me first go to the admin user. What I have defined here is its reporting access for a given hierarchy. So I'll select the hierarchy as location based, which is your O2O hierarchy. And I said here that this guy is going to see data up to USA. So whichever project has been tagged to New York, California or USA, the data for those projects will get rolled up at USA level. But if any project has been tagged to Europe or Australia, this person is not going to see that data. Similarly, if I go to unit based, this guy has a complete access up to root node, which is your Digité. Now I'll go back to the PMO user and I'll see the reporting access that I have defined. So I'm selecting location based. So I've not said anything on the location. I just want to show him the data based on unit. So this guy will be able to see the data for those projects which have been tagged to MFG Europe. Okay. So now what I will do is I will keep switching between PMO user as well as the SwiftALM admin user. So let me just log out. I will log in as a PMO user. So remember, this guy has access only to the unit based O2O hierarchy and he can see projects which have been tagged to Europe. So I'll go to the root organization, which is your Digité, and I'll go to dashboards. So now you can see here the project effort tracker shows me no records found. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll go to the login of SwiftALM admin and go to the organization and go to the dashboard. And for the same dashboard widget, you will see this guy is able to see the data. Okay. Now this is a simple widget. It's a project effort tracker with different chart types. So I'm not going to detail out what are different chart types available. By the way, this is a multi-axis chart. So you can have all these parameters or attributes in a multi-axis or a multi-line chart. So let me show you the setting of this particular widget. Now, since this is an org level dashboard, we have the option of selecting project filter. So here I have said all accessible project. Okay. Now, SwiftALM admin has complete access to all the projects in the system. So now let me just change it to unit-based project filter. So my data points have changed, my project types have changed. Let me go to the PMO screen, or let me just log out and log in. So now you can see for the same widget, two people have different values coming up. So PMO sees there's only one project type called as development. Now let me switch to another screen. You can see the admin has 4 values, 4 rows visible here. So let me just do a drill. I'll click on the project type. So it shows me for the project what are my baseline values, planned effort value, etc., etc. So I can see the project name here. Now let me go to the admin screen and I'll click on the project type as development. And you can see here, this guy is able to see 3 projects instead of 1. Because the rest of the 2 projects, which is your custom app development, transition investment servicing, are all tagged to the different node for which admin has the access. Whereas Exor development project is tagged to manufacturing Europe. That's why this guy is not able to see any other project data at the org level. Similarly, if he goes to, so let me just change the project filter here. Now I'll change the project filter to location based. So now you can see there are 5 rows visible. So based on location, I'm getting to see the data. So let me just log out and log in quickly. So I'm logging in as PMO once again. I'm going to the dashboard. Now this guy is not able to see this data because we never gave him the access to any of the virtual organization based on the location based O2O hierarchy. So that's why he's not able to see any data. So this way we can control who gets to see what. So this is all based on O2O, O2P relationship type and my projects which have been tagged to those relationship types. And once that has been established properly, then when you configure the dashboard, you need to just select the right project filter, and then based on the line of sight of that person, you will be able to see the data. Now coming back to the widget, I just wanted to just give some thought about important options available on this particular widget. Now you can see here, this being a project filter, this being a org level widget, I have some more options available unlike the project dashboard widgets. You can select the project filters here, whereas in the project dashboard you don't have that option because it's a single project. Then on this particular screen you can say within this project filter I want to only see the data for open project, closed project or all projects. This being a project effort tracker, the only option available here is group by project. So we don't have a group by at a work package level or a release level, etc., etc. And this display analytics is common, so you can just filter out what I want to see in the table. So I'll just remove the remaining effort option. But there are 2 other options and these are very interesting. So we have the option of define hierarchy and filter hierarchy. Define hierarchy means I want to basically define how I want to see the data rolled up. So what I have done, I have said I want to first see the rolled up data at a project type level, which is like development project or a maintenance project, and then I want to see the actual project name. Tomorrow if I want to add few more attributes, I'll say let's say BU name. and I'll put it above project name and save it. So now by default the first level is development. So your data is coming at a project type level. Now I'll drill. Now in this case there are no projects which have been tagged to a particular view. So let me just go back to the previous screen. Yeah, so let me just explain you. So BU name is a field on the project profile. So when I select the option of define hierarchy, which is this screen, basically what I'm doing is I'm selecting the project fields which are available on the project profile, and based on that I will get a rolled up data. Okay. Now what is filter hierarchy? Filter hierarchy will be derived based on the project filter that I have selected. So whatever is the level or whatever is the hierarchy that I have defined in that O2O relationship type, based on that it will work. So let me just select filter hierarchy. Project filter will be location based. I'm not so this is no longer applicable, the selected levels, because it works only with define hierarchy. So let me just save it. So if you remember, the project admin under location based hierarchy had an access to USA root node. Now if I click on USA, it will give me 3 sub organizations. One is your California, New York, and project USA, which means there are certain projects which have been tagged directly at the USA root node, and there are projects which have been tagged to California, and there are projects which have been tagged to New York. So let me just click on, let's say, California. Now I'll click on California and I'll get to see the names of the projects. So essentially what has been done is, for these 2 projects, under O2O hierarchy, the sub-organization or the virtual organization that has been selected is California, and that's how the data is getting rolled up at the root node called as USA. Okay. Any questions so far on this? Okay, so let me just so basically the widgets are similar to what we see in the project dashboard. The only difference is we get the options of selecting project filters, defining the hierarchies, and doing a group by. Now I'll just quickly show you the personal dashboard. So personal dashboard is available under the home workspace, and if you go to dashboard menu and click personal dashboard, you will see some dashboards. So this has to be done manually by the individual user who is going to log in into the system and he wants to see some data, and ideally or typically a team member or a team lead may not be interested in personal level dashboard. So a person like a delivery unit head or a CEO or a delivery manager would like to see that data. Instead of going to the organization dashboard, he can just come to his personal workspace and just drag and drop those widgets in his pages, and the rest of the things are similar to what you saw in organizational level dashboard. So he will get to see the option of selecting the project filters. He will get the option of selecting the roll-up method, defining the hierarchies. So the difference between the personal and the org level dashboard is that for the personal level dashboard, you have to manually go ahead and add the widgets on your own. Okay, so with this we have covered the basics of dashboards. So now I would like to come to the last topic, which is how do we manage engineering documents or a project management plan, etc. So there are some 2 or 3 ways of managing it. So I'll take an example of project management plan. Now project management plan is something that the project manager usually prepares at the beginning of the project, but it's an ongoing document. You keep on changing it, you keep on baselining it, and you keep on submitting it for review to the quality team. So So there are various ways to do it. One way is, so let me just go to one project. So one way is you can use the document management system in the product, and you can create a folder or you can create a document, and you can keep on uploading that project management plan as and when it is revised in the attachment section. So that is one way of doing it. It's a very simple way of managing those documents. And of course, we have the inbuilt security available, so you can always keep it hidden from the team members. You can keep it visible only for the probably only to the quality team. The other way is we have a SVN feature where you can do a integration with any of your subversions or software configuration management tool, and that folder structure can be replicated inside the SwiftALM application, and you can keep on managing those documents there, and you can always see that data here. So that is the second way of doing it. The other way is you can create an e-form called as project management plan under the plan menu. So what I have done is I created one e-form called as project management plan. So I don't have to create multiple instances. It is the same single plan, and I'll keep on updating this. So what I've done is I've basically broken down your project management plan sections into segments in the e-form. So project charter is one of your sections. Here I can define all my data. What is my business problem statement of work? Then I can say what are my milestones. So milestone is a different e-form which I have linked to the project management. So I can add milestones to my project management plan. So it's another e-form. So I can just fill the details and save it, and it will get added as part of the project management plan. Then we have the option of defining resource plan. So resource plan is again out of the box e-form. You can define your own resource plan month on month, and you can upload it into the project management. Similarly, if there are project risks, you can add risks to the project management plan. So this will all again get linked. So this way you can structure your sections of your project management plan into in the system using the out of the box e-form framework. Similarly, we have other engineering documents like test cases or business requirement documents. For those you can create custom forms. For example, if I want to upload test cases, we already have a out of the box e-form called as test unit, so you can upload your test cases into this menu. So all these documents be very well structured and uploaded and configured neatly in the system. So any questions so far?
So while we wait for questions, just a quick reminder about our next webinar. So we'll be covering our Agile module on Monday, that's the 25th. And for those of you who haven't gone through the video yet, please check the chat box. What we'd like to do is, this will be just a Q&A session. So we'd like you to go through this video, and if you haven't registered yet, please use the link there. Now, once you go through the video, if you have any questions, feel free to save them up for that particular day, or you can just mail them across to me, right? And we'll take them up on Monday. Feel free to share this link with your colleagues as well, and anyone can join. Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions for today's sessions. So thanks, Dushyant. Thanks for the wonderful session. And thank you, everyone. So
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Hope we'll see all of you all back again on Monday. Thanks.